What the fuck, Adam?
What am I laughing for?
If you have time.
Do it.
I think... Do you like our little fireplace?
It does look like a fireplace, doesn't it?
Crackle, crackle. Ching, ching.
Well, it kind of is a fireplace.
Well-
We've turned into a bar.
It's a fireplace that we've turned into a bar inspired by fire.
Lights.
I feel like you haven't been on my channel for a long time.
I don't know when the last time was, to be fair.
If you didn't catch the first episode of this series, which I think I launched about 4 months ago now, sorry about that. Didn't mean to have such a big break, but I wanted to film the second episode for this, and then, you know, what happened to the world, and I kind of felt like a lot of questions wouldn't be kind of relevant because everyone's situations is so different and dramatic now. Quite interestingly, I looked at some of the questions people had sent in, and I was like, wait, some of these are quite relevant for what is going on right now, even though no one asked it in the ways that we're about to discuss. If that chandelier falls down in this video, viral, boom.
It's a really awkward position, isn't it? It's gonna like land in front of the camera and
Kill me.
hit your head.
Nice. So, welcome back to, do you remember what the series is called?
After the beep.
Oh, well done, I didn't. I asked you as if I did. I did think you'd say yes. Where we answer your beeps.
Quorum beeps.
Quarren beeps. And if you've got any more questions that you want to include, you can literally send them on anything. You can send me an Instagram voice message, you can pop it on my email down there, you can tweet me a link to this voice clip of yourself, you can send a video of yourself talking and I'll use the audio from that. I've got so many social medias, you don't have a single excuse to not know where to send it, so that's what you gotta do.
I don't know what to say.
Hi Ellie and Adam, how do you balance your relationship and Ellie's work life, seeing as she works from home?
Which is oddly relevant now. Because
Yeah.
I'm currently working from home too.
Exactly.
So
and
we're-
everyone's going through it right now. It's
Yeah.
not just us two.
Because I'm still bound to a contract, so I still need to be working at a certain time. So I get up early to start working from, say, like 9 o'clock. And then Ellie will get up whenever she wants to get up and then start her working day because she's able to work whenever she wants to work. That kind of gives me a bit of balance because I've got a little bit of time to kind of build myself up and get into it.
And I think that's the answer really, because for me, I just work when I want to work. I go by my own schedule. So
Yeah,
my morning will be really long. So like I don't actually start doing anything till like 3. Because I wake up quite late. I have a really like slow process of waking, so I usually like do a tiny bit of washing up, cook breakfast, sit, chat with Adam, have a coffee, have a tea, play around with some cards, and then it hits to like 3. I just work better. I've always worked better in evenings and afternoons, and that's just something I have to live with and deal with and work with. That's the important thing. When you work for yourself, you don't have to work in societal rules. You can just work when
Dreams.
your body, I think everyone should be able to do this, to
Everyone
be honest.
should, but it's...
9 to 5 is absolute BS.
It just doesn't work like that.
I know.
It would take a lot for it to change.
But to work like, to be clever about it, you should understand when your body just works better and go with it. Don't feel ashamed if you work better at 5 a.m. Just bear in mind that it might mentally like affect you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
in the long term.
I'm a night owl, just like you are, but I can't kind of live up to that because I'm kind of forced to get up early and
Yeah.
go to bed at a reasonable time, and I usually end up staying up a bit too late because naturally I kind of want to do that.
So therefore, I think the trick is with a question like this, you need to have some sort of routine and schedule, because otherwise the two parts of your life bleed into one and you won't have that dedicated time for each other anymore, which you're already noticing as someone in a contract. Your evenings aren't the same as they used to be when you went out to work, because he'll tend to do a lot of overtime now. Like he'll sit there on his computer and he should have finished technically like an hour ago, but it's easy to do more when the laptop's just there and you don't have to leave the building and go home.
I think if you care, you end up doing more work than what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
which is really, really easy to fall into. And like Ellie said, especially if you're working from home, you don't have to like sign out of a building. You just continue until you get it done, really. So we're in each other's company all day anyway.
Yeah.
But when I'm finished working, I'll just do my own thing while Ellie's working in the background, and she'll be doing her thing while I'm in the background. But we're so easy company with each other that we don't really get in each other's way. We don't get in each other's nerves. We just get on with it, really.
But when you went out to work, Adam will come home and be like, didn't get what I wanted done today, but I'll sort it out tomorrow, for instance. Because you have to come home at one point anyway, right? And then that time he's home is like our time. But obviously, with things being the way they are now, if he doesn't have all the things he wanted to have done, he would sit and continue them throughout the evening, which is why I'm saying I think it's really important to have, like, at least one of you need to have a routine or schedule, because it's just going to get messy and like blurry and weird, and things aren't going to feel like real time. If you work from home, they don't feel like real time anyway. Like the amount of times I've said to Adam over the years, like, what day is it? I don't even have a concept of weekdays sometimes, and you're probably seeing that now. You work from home, so when things are normal, I've got more of a push and more of a reason and motivation to get things done before 6 p.m. because Adam will be home soon. I want to sit and have dinner with him, and then I want to watch something with him and have like couple time.
Yeah.
So.
But now you don't need to worry about that so much.
No, not really at the moment. But it will go straight back to that when things are normal again. So I think the thing here is just to have a routine. Even if working from home is great because you don't need routine, if you want some part of normality in your life, you need to be a bit self-disciplined. Even if you don't have a boss, you have to be your own boss and boss yourself about and say, do you want some free time? Well then work now, because otherwise you're going to be working through the weekend, instead of just staring at the wall and saying, well, I could just work later on. And you lose concept of what are you smiling at?
Just rambling a bit.
Well, no, it's true. Like when you're self-employed, you falsely believe you've got all the time in the world. And then actually you don't, because you've wasted time procrastinating. And that goes into, coupley, cute time and date nights. You're sabotaging your future date nights.
If you put things off, then you're going to start working when I'm around, and then I'll end up like watching TV while I eat on my own and stuff like that. So in reality, in terms of like normal working life, we don't get a lot of time together really, because I get in from work, I tend to kind of sit down for food, and then we settle down and I go to bed. So there's only a few hours really that we get to spend together.
So self-discipline, and if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your partner. If you don't want to get up early to work, be like, well, if I don't, then I'm not going to be able to see my little smoochy-kins tonight. You'll love the name of this person, Hoflake.
I do love that name.
Hi Ellie, I was just wondering how you deal with arguments since you and Adam have been living together. Say, if you've had an argument, how do you get space from each other, or how do you deal with the situation? Love you loads.
Aww. I like how people end it with love you loads.
Love you loads too. I think this is also very relevant for the current crisis.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people are, since they're being kind of stuck in the same place together, they're having more arguments. Naturally,
people are butting heads.
The more time you spend together, the more arguments you have together, I guess.
So it's been a year now since we've lived together.
Yeah.
I've wanted to do a video on this, like a year of...
Like an anniversary thing, like once we've been here for a year, like an update.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know whether you wanted to be part of that, but I knew I definitely wanted to do
I don't mind.
Year of living independently.
Yeah, but I would start by saying we don't argue much.
No.
It's not like probably what you would expect.
In fact, it's quite unusual, isn't it, how little we do argue, considering how much we're with each other. We don't really have like...
I think the ratio for like the amount of time we spend together to how much we argue is pretty low. I think we both enjoy as much like of our own space as much as we enjoy each other's space, and we're both very chill. We're fine in each other's company, and then we're fine out of each other's company. So,
however, as much as you might adore your partners and want to be with them all the time, I think it's very healthy to like remember yourself You are an individual. You need your like you time or just like time with friends. Like sometimes one of the biggest things I remember, no one should expect their partner to tick all of their boxes. Not in the case of like we should settle for less, but as in you shouldn't expect to get everything out of one person. You can't expect your partner to be suitable for like every... Why are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
So what you're saying is I'm not good enough.
No, like there will be people in your life that are better at some things than your partner will be. I don't go to Adam for things that I would go to my best friend for.
In other words, no one's perfect. So
Well, no, it's not even that.
Well, it is in a way, because if you had the perfect partner, you could go to them for everything. Your partner gives what they give best, and then other people can provide other things.
I think arguments are probably more likely if you depend on your partner for everything. So if you expect your partner to sit down and watch rom-com after rom-com with you...
I think the key word there is expectations. So if you have a lot of expectations, I would say expect arguments.
Expectations come from a place where there is no communication. What is that cheesy thing? It's like, if you assume you make an ass out of you and me, assume.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
it's just cheesy.
I know. Being able to spend time with other friends and family.
It gives you a bit of space. It gives you a bit of time away. It gives you like an escape.
It kind of fills in the gaps that you kind of need, which your partner can't provide all on their own. I mean, as I say, like distance helps the heart grow fonder and all of that.
And variety is the spice. I had something valid to say, and like I knew you were gonna laugh at it. That's what set me up. Right, say what you were saying again. And variety is the spice. And variety is the spice of life. Keep that in. Just cut the bit out when you start laughing. Like you're gonna get frustrated with like the same company all the time. So it's good. It's like healthy to have the company of people outside the house as well. So what was the question again? Ellie, man.
How to deal with arguing when you live together?
Yeah, naturally we don't really argue that much, but we argue a little bit more because we're stuck together right now. So yeah, I think we don't really argue that much, considering.
I think we've already said that about 10 times.
What else am I supposed to say?
How to deal with arguing when you live together?
I thought how we deal with it.
Well, yeah, but...
We don't, because we don't argue much. Best way to deal with arguing is to talk about it and get over it.
I think the best thing, to do is to stop before it happens and address an issue that you might have before it turns into like a massive mountain. So like if you've got little issues, little irks, little things that are annoying or bothering you, address them while they seem, I was about to say manure.
Manure? What's that got to do with it?
Mundane. Mundane.
Mundane. Manure. Mundane.
Before they like pop up later on when you're in a bad mood or...
So the solution is to just not argue, basically, because if you don't argue, then you won't argue.
It's like that TikTok meme where it's like, if we don't argue, we'll never need to know how not to argue. I also once heard some advice and it was to have a dedicated time and day every week with your partner to talk about stuff and to air things out in a headspace where you're not like rah and in a bad mood, because arguments, I think they come from a place where you're stressed out anyway, and then they pick at more issues, and then this original issue isn't even part of the conversation anymore because you're bringing up stuff from like 2 years ago. So
everything comes up when you're heated.
Yeah.
And it's over dramatic, and
So
that's a good idea actually.
couple therapy is mostly encouraging couples to sit down at a time when everything feels fine and everything's great and become in a headspace that's chill, sensible, and also come from a place that's non-judgmental. So like make that pact with each other that we're going to discuss things from a place of understanding,
like neutrality.
So if you were to be like, look, actually this week I have really struggled with the fact that you're not hoovering the house.
It's like when you have the stick, and when you have the stick you talk, and then the other person listens,
has to
and
listen.
then when you've spoken your piece, you pass the stick to the other person, and then the person with the stick then says their point of view.
Yeah, so then they can't butt in and get angry or like react quickly.
Because then you all understand each other's feelings and you can conclude.
I mean, we don't do that typically as a couple, but I feel like we don't really need to do that. Maybe if I will say something that I think we could work on, which I think a lot of people here will agree on, try and settle arguments before you go to bed. I mean, it's hard for us because a lot of our arguments happen at night time, so it's like late anyway.
Yeah, don't bring things up at bedtime. Is my big thing, please. Please.
Basically, it's more the fact that I don't think you should finish an argument without finishing an argument. Do you know what I mean? Like, settle it in some way. I know it can't be fixed immediately, but be like, let's think of 3 things right now that can be done to make ourselves feel better about this situation. What are we arguing about? What can we do about it? And let's make like some sort of agreement to each other of some small steps we can do. Like, basically, don't end the argument without any progression from how you started it. Right, on Sundays at 8 p.m. Until 9 p.m, let's talk some serious shit. And it doesn't have to be like sad. It doesn't have to be like, 8 p.m.'s come, let's all be sad. Like, you can make it fun, like get some snacks out. Let's just talk about some stuff we want to work on together as a couple. Like, see it as like a mission, like a power couple. Like, you don't have to work on your brain, and you don't have to even go to therapy with broken relationships or a broken brain. You can just do it because you want to develop as a couple.
You should sit down and just be like, have you got anything you'd like to say? No. Have you got anything you'd like to say?
Yeah.
No?
You don't have to find
Everything's
issues.
good.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's watch the next thing on Netflix.
Yeah, you don't have to have an issue, by the way.
But it's an opportunity to bring it up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hello, I've been single for a whole year now. I'm really scared to get back into dating. I've gone on a few dates and they just haven't ended well, and I just need some advice, please. Thank you.
Firstly, lovely voice you've got there. Secondly,
I don't think single for, like, the way that you say it, a whole year makes it sound like a really, really long time. And I don't think a year is necessarily a really long time to be single for. Like, a year could be a good amount of time for you to explore being single and, like, exploring yourself.
well, she said she's been on a few dates.
Yeah.
So that might be...
So it sounds like she's trying to find...
She wants to be in a relationship.
Yeah. She's actively looking for a relationship. But I don't necessarily think like a year single is a bad thing.
No.
I would say don't feel like you're rushing into anything because you're trying dates and they may not be going the way that you expect them to go. That's not necessarily because of you or anything that you want or...
No, and there's nothing we can say here and like speed up your process of finding the perfect person. And without sounding like a cringe ball, I don't want you to rush to find the perfect person, because I know plenty of people who have a serious fear of being alone and single, and those are the people that get themselves in relationships with people that are not the best and not suitable for them, and they end up regretting being with. So I actually really respect and like the fact that you aren't just settling for whoever you just said you're dating with.
Yeah, that's good.
Just because you can't face being alone, and instead of seeing it as like, a whole year of like being single, just be like, I haven't found the person who's good enough to make me not single right now, and you should stand your ground. I don't know.
I would say that dates can be fun as well. Like, any dates I've been on personally have been really fun. It's getting to know someone new, and it's getting to know someone who you could potentially like compare yourself with in future. Like, you get to know new people. It's kind of like meeting new friends, really, in a way.
Yeah.
And it's all a really good experience.
And I think other stuff can come from that. Like, I don't know if people agree with this, but I feel like with new people that you meet, there's still other things that you can make friendship groups out of the person. Like, other things can blossom from that girl or guy you meet. So I don't think you should see it as like a failed date or something. Just see it as like, I don't know, you took something from it in some way, and you also learned more about what you didn't want in a person. So the more people you date, the closer you are to knowing exactly what you want to bring into your life and who you're looking for. And then you are closer to the person that you will be your perfect little dude.
I think it's important to remember that the person who you'll end up with might not be looking for a relationship right now or 6 months ago. They might be looking for a relationship at the right point in the future when you're feeling like, oh, this has been going on for too long, I'm never going to find anyone, and then all of a sudden this person has opened themselves up to a relationship. You're also looking, you've almost given up. Next thing you know, you two are like perfect for each other.
Oh.
So it was meant to be.
Also, I think when you find someone eventually and you're together for years, I think you might even miss the position that you're in now and wanting to be out of so much. Like kind of embrace the freedom you've got and have fun as an individual, because when you get into a relationship, you kind of like morph into like, I know people will say don't do this and you shouldn't do this, but people do it all the time. They just become like their partner and you're just this like bubble together. And I think it's kind of like liberating to be on your own and to do what you want, because no one's there to like for you to think about all the time. And
you've got a lot of freedom and it's good fun. Like, don't really try too hard, because when you try hard and you expect something to come out of something, that's when you start getting disappointed and getting upset and sad. So if you just go into things thinking, I'm going to be with someone at some point, the journey along the way is really, really good fun.
And you're more likely to find someone when you're enjoying the process of dating and stuff, because you want people to see you as your like true self, like your core. You don't want to be this like desperate person who's like, I just want to be in a relationship, and you might kind of be tempted to impress people more or like try and get on their level and be, because I was like that. I wanted to like make you think that I was interested in the same things as you, because I just wanted to impress you. But really, the more you put out as who you are truly as a person, the more authentic you are in your dates.
That's definitely one of the most
You'll attract the right person.
Valuable lessons I've learned over the years. Like, as I've dated more and gotten to the point where I started to date you, that's kind of the point where I was like, I just need to be myself and nothing else really matters, because at the end of the day, like, you can try and impress people, but
the true colours will come out eventually.
Yeah. They'll see the true you eventually, and if they don't like that, then it's just gonna go to crap anyway.
Yeah, so. And usually in like 3 years' time. So the shortcut to getting the perfect person is just to show them who you are in the very first date.
And someone's gonna like that. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, someone's gonna like that. Be patient.
Is that good advice?
I would say so.
Okay.
That's great advice. Come on.
Hey guys, Lee here. So my question is, how do you honestly know if you can trust that your partner won't get up and leave you one day? I dated a guy for almost 4 years, and then one day he told me over text, out of the blue, that he no longer felt the same. He never gave me an answer as to why. He pretty much just said I don't feel the same and walked out. So how do you honestly know that the next person that you get with isn't just going to go and do the same? It puts a massive dent in your self-confidence.
Well, short answer is you can't know. You can't honestly ever know whether he's going to do the same thing.
She sounds sad.
Oh. It's okay.
I want to give her a hug though, because she sounds really sad. With anyone you don't know, do you? Really?
But we've said this before. I think we covered a similar thing in our last episode of this. You have to give people fresh slates every time you find someone new.
You need to give someone the opportunity to show you what their personality's like, what their feelings are like, what their intentions
Unless they
are
give
like.
you reason to.
Yeah.
You can't paint them with the same paintbrush that,
exactly.
that you've experienced in the last relationship.
It's obviously really difficult to do that, because you do naturally like base your feelings towards future relationships and future possibilities in comparison to old ones.
Yeah.
Which is difficult to kind of move away from, because those feelings of like betrayal and like confusion and like negativity are so powerful that it's difficult to move away from that. Everyone's different, everyone has different intentions, everyone has different feelings when you meet them and when you've been 4 years down the line.
I was really heartbroken because someone I was like in love with, like madly in love with, one day was just like, yo, I'm off, I'm out. And like I found out that they just wanted to like experiment with other people and they were basically bored, and it broke my little heart into a million pieces. And I was like dealing with that for a long time, like for too long. When I think back at it, I'm like, oh my god, it's kind of embarrassing. Like I'm talking like a couple of years, and then someone else came along and I didn't want to pull that barrier down. I like built a brick wall like over months and months of just like putting this person on a pedestal. And then when someone else came along, I was like, no, I'm not going there, because I don't want to deal with that again. Like, it's taken me so long to get here. I didn't allow myself to like connect with that person for an entire year, but they decided to like wait that out and was like, no, I'm gonna, you know, it's worth it, I suppose. And then eventually, I mean, at the time it worked out. It taught me so much. Like, it taught me like people are so different from one another, particularly if I don't know much about this girl, if this was her first relationship, but particularly if it's your first relationship, you cannot, and I'm sure we said this in the last episode, you cannot assume that they're all going to be the same. Like, if that is your first relationship, that's how you've learned them to be, but that isn't the case. The same way all of your friends will be very different people and respond to things in different ways, and people have different like morals and values and deal with things so differently.
And they're all going to see you differently as well. So if you're with one person for 4 years and then you're with someone else for 4 years, they're not going to see you in the same way. They're going to see the relationship differently.
They have their like own way of seeing things, their own life, their own situation and circumstance, and like that all comes into play together. That's not going to repeat in the next person.
And it is very, very easy to like base future relationships like almost like stereotypically on what you've experienced before. I mean, I think everyone does the same thing, because I've done it myself. You've probably done it yourself. You've expected things to go certain ways, but the fact is that everything will go differently to how you imagine. Everything will catch you off guard. It's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Like, you never know how people will see you or like develop a relationship with you and stuff. If you were to find someone else that you felt a connection with, you need to give them a chance, because
it's not fair on them as well.
It's not fair on them for you to build those presumptions on what you've experienced before. And you will be happy. Like, you'll meet someone and they'll give you things that the previous person didn't give you. There might be upsides, there might be downsides. You never know. You just need to try. You need to kind of ride the wave.
I don't know if this will make you feel better or not, but put it this way. And I think you'll agree with me, every relationship that we've been in has ended differently from one another. And I think that might give you comfort in the sense of like, they don't always turn out the same way. And I mean, put it this way, I didn't want to bring those walls down for somebody new, but in the end, I was the one who didn't want to continue pursuing that relationship, and I was the one that ended it, even though I didn't want to start on that course because I was so worried they were going to leave me eventually. And I would never have predicted that would be the way things would pan out. And I'm only sharing that because I want to say, like, you have no clue, particularly at the beginning of a relationship, how things are going to go. You just kind of need to jump in. And like we said to the girl who was single and looking for a relationship, you kind of just have to, like, enjoy it for what it is. Even though we both have exes that, like, might not have ended in the most graceful way, we still have, like, really good memories and like cool things that happened and gone to places or done fun things if it wasn't for being in a relationship with that person. So you just have to take that from your old relationships that might not have worked out and look forward to that in the ones that are coming. You shouldn't only see new relationships for how they're gonna end up, which is what I used to do, so I can relate to this. But by the time I started dating Adam, I was just like, let's have fun, and I was very in the present moment, but that's unusual for me. So try and get more in touch with that present moment thing. Look forward to the things you're doing now and next week, not like how things are gonna go in like 2 years time and whether he's gonna leave you and all of this. You're still gonna take good things out of that relationship.
If you just be your natural self and you attract someone and you like them too, then I think that's more likely going to work out.
Well, yeah, and the person who you're saying that left, they saw who you were, they saw your authentic self, and they chose to leave. You don't want someone who knows you to not want to stick around. Like, you want to attract someone who thinks you're like amazing and incredible. It's shame on them for not giving you like closure of some kind. Not everybody's an asshole like that. So we're gonna leave that here. Feel free to submit some more because we want to continue this series. Oh, fuck it.
No, just
Okay.
we're laughing for.
So I think having time away from each other is a good time to like I don't know what to say anymore. If we're in each other's face all the time.
There's going to be conflict, and it's going to happen with anything really, whether you're together, whether you're living with someone else. But I think at least with like partners living together, you want to live together, so there's that.
If you have time.
Do it.
I think it's the typical case of being in each other's face all the time, which we're having to do right now. But that's the very thing I think. Stop laughing, man.
Because you're, I think. Go.
Okay. He said, Mr. Bean.
Go for it, love.
It's not just
Ellie, man. Come on, what you doing?
living with your partner, because if you're in each other's faces all the time, think and assess, and like being away. Stop! I can't look at you.
It's because there was a bit of fluffing out. It's fun. Like, your videos are fun.
We're talking about arguments.
Okay, right. Okay. Well, like, I mean, this is evidence enough, isn't it? Just look at how we're laughing about the fact that people argue. You're worse than me, and you're telling me.
At the moment, I am, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But even given the situation, try to keep the same spot so we can just continue. We don't argue that much anyway. We should just upload the video like this.
I'm on social media such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I have a YouNow that I stream on sometimes. I've got a Patreon. I have tarot readings if you want to book one. All the links to that are down there. Adam is now part of the social media crew. Adam's created a YouTube channel.
It's very different though.
In fact, we shouldn't tell them what it is until they go over and check it out.
Yeah, that's a good point actually.
Find out what Adam does. Links down there to his YouTube channel. Oh shit.
It's Adam Estrez if you want to follow.
Bye bye. Namaste.